What's going on, everybody? I'm Winston A, aka the Swaggy Blurred, and this is my Peacemaker. We're going to call this first half review since, I did episodes 1 and 2, didn't cover 3, 4, 5, and now we're on to 6, and 6 is insane. So we're going to, kind of what was leading up to it and some of the clues, and then we're going to talk about it, and then I'll be here with you for the last couple episodes. Now, if you haven't already, please be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, throw a thumbs up on this video, all the good stuff. You already know what it is. I am kind of beside myself as far as what just went down. So obviously, at the end of 1 and 2, we kind of get some, in 3 and 4, the buildup is happening. That Chris continues to feel more and more alienated from the universe that he's from. Feels like Harcourt is really not effing with him and just pushing him away. This feeling that everything he does is a giant F up. And then ultimately you get to, episode 5 where he's fully being hunted by Argus at this point and he's aware of it, especially because Harcourt kind of sets him up. And obviously gets, arrested by Argus, Flag beats the shit out of him, all that kind of stuff. Chris is like, you know what, I am done with this world. And in doing so, ultimately decides at the end of 5 to leave this Earth and go to the Earth that he had been seeing, that the other Peacemaker that he killed, that he'd been replacing himself with so he can spend time with his dad and his brother. And a lot of stuff had happened in between. Obviously, you have Michael Rooker, who's awesome as Yondu, and obviously has worked with James Gunn in Guardians of the Galaxy as Red Saint Wild and his whole quest to essentially hunt Eagly, believing Eagly is the Prime Eagle, which ultimately we do find out when the battle's all said and done, Eagly is the Prime Eagle and is able to kind of not only summon other eagles, but clearly has some sort of mysticism behind him. I'm not super familiar with that, so if anybody knows, you want to tell me in the comments, let me know, because I'm actually pretty curious. Obviously, we've seen ads is trying to do her agency and everything like that, and he gets mistaken for being a prostitute and dealing with all, she thought she had a client, she didn't. Vidge isn't feeling good about stuff. Everybody's just feeling kind of down, but the one thing that really was pushed at the end of episode 2 was the idea of all of them sticking together as the thing that makes everything worth it, right? So as we get to the end of 5 and now to 6, that's a quick recap, because again, I guarantee you've seen other people doing reviews and stuff like that, and I apologize that we didn't talk about this earlier, but again, like I said, this episode was so big I had to come back and we had to talk about 6. They're on this quest now to go find Chris in this other world and to save him, and you get a lot of really funny things in there. So for example, Vidge, obviously, who is obsessed with Chris, and that's his best friend and everything like that. When he gets to this new Earth, he's curious. He's like, I want to go and meet myself. I bet me and myself will be best friends. All that, everybody tells him that he shouldn't do it, but he's like, nah, I'm gonna go do it. He goes to his house. He's noticing all sorts of things. Instead of a chipmunk on his yard, there's a squirrel. Instead of 3 cats on a figurine, there's 6. All this stuff. His dad isn't gay in this world, which is hilarious, but he meets the other him. And I forgot that earlier in the episode, we find out that every time he is beating up a drug lord, a crime boss, whatever, he keeps all the shit. So he has millions upon millions of dollars, infinite amounts of drugs. Shit is hilarious that's just sitting in there. He's like, I'm not going to use blood money. And the rest of the crew is stashing cash away. But he meets the other Vidge, and it's exactly what he thought. They are exactly alike with one exception. When they're like, when is Peacemaker your best friend? And the Vigilante 2 from this Earth is like, hell no, fuck that guy. Christopher Smith, the Peacemaker, is a horrible person, and he's the reason that I've been joined the Sons of Liberty. So that's kind of the first thing. Ads and Economos, they stay at the house because at a certain point, Harcourt gets caught by Keith, Chris's brother, and goes to Argus to try and meet up with Chris and all that. And so Economos and Ads see Eagly tearing up the kitchen. They start cleaning up the kitchen, right? And they're like, we're going to wait here for, essentially for Chris to come back, and you guys go check Argus and whatever. They weren't happy that you went to Argus, but what are you going to do? Keith came in, so got stopped. Harcourt couldn't think of what to do, so she just went off. We get a really touching moment. I'll come back to those two in a minute. We get a really touching moment with Chris and with Harcourt finally talking. Harcourt, in her own hardened way, finally kind of fessing up to the fact that she does have feelings, but that she feels broken and she doesn't feel, she wasn't able to get there with Chris because of how broken she felt, and Chris admitting but it doesn't matter because I care about you. So like finally that thing that they've been pushing and pulling all the way back and forth, you know, it is what it is. She's being detained because, you know, some of the cocaine from Vigilante's den in the original Earth got all over them. She got caught by a drug dog going into Argus, blah, blah, blah. As they're leaving, Harcourt starts making note of things and is looking around and is like, huh, do you not notice anything weird? And Chris is like, no, I don't. And I will say there were two major hints. I mean, the hints have been there this entire time, but there were two major hints in this episode specifically to what this big reveal was. The first was in the very beginning. You know, the top trio is having like brunch or breakfast or whatever after a victory, after fighting a kaiju. Some kids ask to come take a selfie, and when they do take the selfie, all of a sudden the picture gets distorted and they start to kind of twist into almost like a vortex, their faces. So then Economos, ads are kind of done. Ads, it's like, I'm gonna go for a walk. It's safer outside than it is in here. Again, this field, there's a lot of just like tipping our hat. It's coming. And again, this has been an open secret across the internet where people started to piece this together already. We know that Vig hates Peacemaker here and whatnot, right? The vigilante from this world. We know that Harcourt is noticing, I don't see any people of color around here. I haven't seen any of them there. The last clue we got with the episode is the name of the episode. Ignorance is Chris. So obviously the term is normally ignorance is bliss. This idea that if you're not paying attention to shit, or if that you're ignorant to shit, that you can live a life that's happy and free. They say that a lot of times about, you know, a smart person's curse is the idea of you are aware of all the things that are happening. So all the good and the bad and the evil in the world. You know what I'm saying? You see all of it. And again, Chris's ass doesn't notice anything. He's just happy to have his family and to have an Amelia here and all that, right? So Economos gets caught by the Blue Dragon. Like they start fighting and he starts spewing more shit that he should because he's a little too nervous. But the main thing is, as is walking down the street, a woman freaks out and then the whole neighborhood freaks out. And then Keith comes by and he sees Ads there and he starts honking his horn. They all start running. They go, one of them got out. She's like, got out? A black got out. And they go, wait, what? And at that same time, Chris is with Harcourt at Argus when the other Amelia shows up and is like, that's not me, we arrest her. But Chris finally looks at the American flag, and instead of stars on the corner of the flag, it is a swastika. And what everybody has been predicting for the last couple of weeks, we are on Earth X. That means the Nazis won World War II and white supremacy is running rampant around the earth, especially here in America, in this world. And the reason why you've seen no people of color is because clearly they either put them in camps or they killed them. That's something along those lines, which also leads to the fact that, you know, I've talked about this a couple times. I don't know if Judo Master making it out alive, bro. The other major twist that came from this episode was a massive cameo. Rick Flag Sr., we kind of get an idea of why Lex Luthor is ultimately going to probably end up getting free for Man of Tomorrow. Rick Flag Sr. cannot find Vigilante and Ads and Harcourt and all that, and they have the portal device. So Rick Flag goes to Bell Rev prison, talks to Lex Luthor. They kind of negotiate for a little bit, which I gotta give Nicholas Hoult so much credit. Seeing the R-rated version of Lex was amazing. And the only thing that I will say, I understand because it's PG-13, you gotta tone it down. I kinda wish there was a way to just keep that shit consistent. I wish we could get the same swearing Lex in a PG-13 movie, or in the movie version of him, because it then feels a little weird that he's a little neutered. That's the one thing that I didn't love, but beyond all of that, again, Holt's version of R-rated Lex is amazing. And just as smart, it feels almost more quippy because he's allowed to swear. You know the old saying that like what smart people swear and shit like that. That's kind of what this felt like here. But he had 246 or 260 something years in prison. By helping Rick Flag Sr., he is going to get transferred to another prison. It's very clear that prison will be less secure, and he will find a way out, where he'll negotiate some other deal, something along those lines, right? So we're all over the place, man. You got Lex who's about to help him out. The Argus will probably be able to come into this world and find where the portal is. Ads is running for dear life. It almost looked like if you've seen Head of State with Chris Rock, where he's running for president, it would be the first black man to be president. At near the end of the movie, when it looks like Chris Rock is gonna win, all of a sudden they say something, and then white people from everywhere start running to bombs over Baghdad in mass. Same thing, except this time, instead of them running to get to the polls, it is Ads running as fast as she can, as a sea of white people, of Nazis, are chasing her down, clearly to either capture or kill her. So everything she said about it's safer outside is completely fucking wrong. And everyone, the only one that looks like they're going to be okay at this exact moment is Vig. But everybody else, Ads, Economos, because he currently is being tackled by the Blue Dragon, a knife stabbed through him, and he's confessing his guts out, including the fact that Peacemaker killed the Peacemaker of this world. Harcourt has just been yelled at by this world, so by Earth X's Harcourt, that's an imposter, arrest that woman, and Peacemaker is with her. All the shit is hitting the fan, and it is about to go fucking down. Now, I have to give credit. Right after episode 3, I was hanging with Jay, and we had just finished up a brunch, and he goes, "Did you notice something?" It's like, not in particular. He goes, "Rewatch the shit. Did you notice how on that other Earth there was not a single black person to be found?" And I was like, "Nah." He's like, "Bro, I think it's Earth X." And I was like, "Bullshit." So I went to go rewatch it with intention, and I noticed it wasn't just no black people. It was no people of color whatsoever. And I was like, holy shit, he's right. Because there's got to be a twist. Like, good storytelling, there has to be something that's wrong with this, because otherwise, why would Chris have any impetus to go back? Something has to be wrong. And that was exactly what was being kind of waved in front of our faces the whole time. He got there. That other Peacemaker was a massive dick. He was a huge dick. And there's only one world that would make sense if it's so parallel, where his brother and his dad would still be here. His dad was a raging racist in the other world, right? And in the main universe that Peacemaker comes from. The fact that his brother didn't die, it has to be just from the standpoint of like that ideology that they kind of grew up on ended up being okay. That there wasn't this cutthroatness and this overt racism that they had to hide. It was this idea that they were just genuinely allowed to just be these horrible, horrible people. So I think the other thing that's going on here, and this is where my prediction kind of comes in, I think that we're going to end up in a situation where Peacemaker in this world, or the top trio as a whole, maybe killed a lot of the metas here, including even Superman. So anybody that potentially was against this kind of, fascist, white supremacist regime has probably been dealt with. And I think the top trio became exactly that, because they were holding up whatever these ideals were in this white supremacist utopia, man. So I gotta give props to James Gunn. Obviously, this was filmed a while ago, but considering the state of a lot of things kind of happening in the world right now, I gotta give him props for just being like, fuck it, I'm gonna go for it. Because he fully did. Now, mind you, again, Earth X is a story that already exists in the comics, that the Nazis won, and this is where you kind of end up. But again, in a time where tensions are pretty high, for James Gunn to just say, fuck it, I'm gonna go for it, hats off to you, man. That's absolutely nuts. So now we sit here and we go, fuck, what now? Like, what is the next? How do they get out of this? It doesn't make sense how they could possibly get out of this, man. So, because what I'm really worried about is just Ads getting killed right away. I'm hoping that because she's gonna get caught. There's no way she doesn't get caught. There's no way she can run forever from that many people. I was terrified Keith was just gonna run her over, but she's gonna get caught. We just gotta hope, man, that she doesn't get tortured too hard. That there's a way for them to get to her, and that she's not gonna end up being like the sacrificial lamb in this season. The way that we found out that the leader of their team from Argus ended up being a possessed alien as well, and then he ended up dying. Like, we really gotta hope that Ads is not about to be the sacrificial lamb here. Because the other thing that, tended to be true watching stuff with Gunn, he doesn't really hold back on if he needs to off somebody to make a point. That'll do it. We just saw him do it in Superman. I won't say who in case you still haven't seen it, but I would assume you've seen it by now. But someone close to Superman, not Lois Lane close, but still close because, you know, he makes a lot of friends, gets offed, and in a very intense kind of violent way. In Guardians, obviously in Guardians 3, with this being Rocket's story, kind of seeing how, you know, he lost losing Lila and how that kind of went down. Guardians 2, losing Yondu. He's not afraid to pull those punches at all. I mean, hell, even losing Groot, even though that ended up being temporary. And a lot of times that's just, you know, it was still early in Marvel. Like, I felt like there was always a plan of like, hey, we could make a baby Groot, and that ultimately ended up being a cash cow for Disney and all that. But the point is, Gunn is not afraid to take away, like, to not go full Game of Thrones, but to go close enough to be like, I'll take away your favorite character. You think I give a fuck? So I am praying that ads is not put on that altar. But I'm curious what you think. Did you see Earth X coming? How do you see them getting out of this? Do you think someone is going to die? If you think somebody in the crew is going to die, who do you think it is? And, you know, all of that. Let me know what you think in the comments. And from me, if you haven't already, man, subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. Throw a thumbs up on this video, man. And check out all of the other cool stuff that I got going on here. I've got a lot of out of the theater reactions. There's been a lot of movies I've been going to right now. A lot of screenings and stuff like that. The one for One Battle After Another should be up by now. I'll have one for, Dead of Winter. And probably, if not tomorrow, maybe this weekend, something like that. I've already recorded it, but there's been a lot of other stuff to cover before that. The Blurred Breakdown, if you don't already check that out, on Mondays here on this channel, the Pop Culture Show for when you need to know, see what happened was. We cover all that shit. Tuesdays I'm with Roca on the John Roca channel doing Spill the Tequila. Wednesdays Blurs in the Hood with me and Jay Washington. And then if you're watching this, but it's midnight when I'm recording this, so it's Friday. Today, Capes and Cals, myself, Christian Harloff, Chris Carr over on the Christian Harloff channel. You know, shout out to Coy. Miss you, buddy. I'm going to have to go watch his reaction now and see what he has to say about it. But all of that stuff popping off. I got more content coming out on here as well. Check out one of these 2 videos that you see pop up. And with that, I will see y'all on the flip, man.